And welcome back to BGFC Weekly, where we discuss all things related to our Golden Lions. I'm Jimmie, and I want to thank you for joining me today. So, on today's podcast, I have BGFC Midfielder and newly minted Director of Coaching for the BGFC Youth Academy, Mr. Michael Świerkosz. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm good. I'm awesome, Jimmie. How are you, man?
I'm good. So I'm going to start with a question I've always wanted to ask you, but I never have.
Okay.
Do you prefer Michael or Mike?
Either one works. I mean, Mike's fine.
Okay,
Mike's
I'll go
fine.
with Mike for the podcast. Also, you are already sweating, and I just asked you a simple question. This ought to be fun today, folks. Get ready. Strap in. So on today's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the Kentucky-Tennessee Premier Division Championship match, as well as looking at the national tournament so far. We're going to peek back to the BGFC Golden Lions regular season, get Michael's perspective both as a player and as a coach, kind of talking about some of his insights from the games, as well as we will end today with another special announcement. But before we get too far down the road and talking just about BGFC, let's come back to the UPSL Kentucky-Tennessee Premier Division Championship game. Now, if you remember back from our last show, I predicted that IFC would win 4-2, and AJ took Beeman to win 3-0. Well, both of those were incorrect. However, I was way more incorrect. Final score, Iterbide 0, Beeman United 1. So AJ had the correct pick. However, we were both significantly off on the score, and my over-under of 6 was way, way off. So, Michael, you had a chance to watch that, yes?
I did. I watched the whole game.
Talk to me about kind of what you saw in that matchup and what was the difference maker for Beeman in that game?
Well, if you look at the score, just it being 1-0, it was tight throughout the whole 90 minutes of the game. I mean, you have guys from both teams that look like pro guys, athletic, super technical, quick. And you could tell the way both teams played and set up, they played it like a final. Neither team really wanted to give anything away. Right. They played a little bit more conservative. Their approach to different things.
Well, especially Iterbide, they were very conservative.
Yeah, and I was, being on the other end of having to play against them. I wish they were a little bit more conservative there. No, but I think they, both teams went into it kind of passive almost. More of the approach of, well, let's see who makes a mistake first. Right. And it was Iterbide. Yep. And then Beeman capitalized. Great finish on it. But I thought Beeman did pretty well to control the game. They did. They looked more of the team to go through, in my opinion. Now, Iterbide gave them a bunch of scares here or there. But I think it's a fair result in the end, Beeman going through, in my opinion. So they have a good chance to go really, really far. So
yeah, and they matched. The earlier season matchup was the same score, 1-0, just the other way around. I really thought that, and this happened, Iterbide, to me, controlled the game. And I don't necessarily mean that in a positive way. And what I mean by that is there was a couple of times that some players went down.
A little chippiness.
Yeah, a little chippy.
Little Zidane header. I'm surprised that wasn't caught anywhere, huh?
There were a couple of things like that I was watching, and I was like, how are you going to win this game? And clearly their strategy.
How?
That's exactly right.
How? That's kind of how it was. Can we find a way to win this game and go through? So
right. And honestly, I thought, especially into the second half with it still 0-0, I thought that they were going to carry it through. But so, Michael, you mentioned kind of playing both of them, especially Beeman. Talk to us about their playing style and how they can really cause problems for Iterbide as well as their future opponents in the national tournament.
Yeah, no, they're well drilled, well organized. I remember just playing against them. They played in a kind of a hybrid shape. You don't see it very often in a 3-4-3. At least when we played them with a diamond in the 4 instead of a flat 4.
Not a wall.
So it was pretty difficult for us, at least, to figure out the first 5 to 10 minutes with just some player tracking, and then eventually we were trying to work some things out, and the score didn't go our way ultimately. But if you look at the first half, it was pretty close. Just didn't take our chances. But yeah, they were a well-drilled team. You can tell when the ball moves, all their guys know exactly where to be. So if the ball swings out right, they know exactly who's dropping in, to get the ball, who's clearing out to go to the reverse side,
Right.
basically when they're trying to attack the weak side of the team. So pinging around a little bit, swinging out the other way, or find an opening central and penetrate centrally, kind of like how I think you already talked about the podcast.
With AJ. Yeah. AJ admitting to the last podcast, that, hey, in his fairness,
the ball had to come through the midfield to get there. So
again, it's a very standard sports thing. You have to stop ball at some point. Basketball, American football, soccer, whoever. You can't just let them drive right down the heart. Or
you got to pull them down. So if you're not going to do it legally, then you got to find a way to pull them down.
Right,
so.
And if it's a breakaway, I totally understand that. But we had guys back on defense and through the middle.
Yeah.
So with that, Beeman United won the Kentucky-Tennessee Premier Division Championship for the spring season. That gave them a berth into the round of 32 of the National Tournament playoff, where they played the Indy Gladiators.
Yeah.
Indy Gladiators. Wow. If you haven't figured out yet, I have dyslexia, folks. They're a team out of, if you couldn't tell by their name, Indianapolis. That game happened this past Saturday. Unfortunately, I was not able to watch very much of the game because
the stream sucked.
Oh man, I gave Johnny a little bit of crap.
This is like a recurring theme here with the UPSL.
Hey man, we need to get out of the UPSL at some point. So, but for no other reason other than we need better stream qualities. So, we gave Johnny some crap for that same venue a couple of weeks earlier. Yep. Was it Davidson
Soccer Academy?
Yeah, there you go.
Something like that.
We gave them some crap, but I think that it's that school just doesn't have good signal, because what we tried to watch this past weekend was unwatchable. It was glitchy. There would literally be one person on the right side of the screen, and then all of a sudden they would stay there, but then they would pop up on the left side of the screen.
It just looked like there was a cloud on my screen for me. I didn't even see the...
You couldn't even see the players?
I couldn't even see the players. It was just like someone smudged the screen.
Oh,
that's why I couldn't watch. Bad. I wanted to, but couldn't watch the game.
Well, so in the end, final score, Beeman United 3, Indy 2. So Beeman moving on to the round of 16 for the second year in a row, a team from the Kentucky-Tennessee Premier Division moving on to the round of 16. Now they will place Georgia Force, which is out of Duluth, Georgia. Which is like the far northeastern suburbs of Atlanta, if you're not familiar. They actually finished 5th in the Georgia Premier Division. They did really well. But my Lord, they are on a run, beating the number 4, number 3, and number 1 teams in their tournament, including Kalonji, who put us out of our misery last year.
They did. I thought Beeman and them were going to match up against each other was going to be my guess. And then I really would have tuned in for that matchup, but it's Georgia. Who knows? It's a one-off game again.
Right. So, well, and Georgia being on such a burner, it seems like they're really in
good form.
Yeah. They took on South Carolina Heat in their first matchup. They beat them 2-0 to them to advance. Michael, you last year, as I mentioned, we played in the round of 16. From a player's perspective, what is it like going into this part of the season?
I think it's a lot of fun. I really do. I think it's a lot of fun. It's truly what kind of gets into what separates it from the regular season is because me as a competitor and a lot of my teammates being the same way, you want to play in the biggest games against the best opponents. That's where you show what you're made of and what kind of competitor you are. So for me, I always loved the bigger the game, the bigger the moment, the bigger the player, right? So I always love those type of games. Now you have to go and show it and how much you want it and how well you play. You still have 10 other guys on your team who've got to match that, or hopefully if they're doing just as well or better. But then you have 11 guys on the other side plus the bench who are trying to stop you. But I always loved it because it's you're traveling with the teams, you're staying in the rooms, you're carpooling, you're eating breakfast, lunch, dinner with them. Whatever it is, and it's a lot of fun. It's a fun time because there's a lot of team bonding going on. It's a lot of fun to get into that part of the season.
So talk to me about that journey because it is travel potentially. I don't know. I mean, Beeman hosted the first round game. I don't know if they'll be able to host the second matchup. That hasn't been released. That information hasn't been released, at least as of recording. But what is it like going on the road at the UPSL level? I mean, obviously, through your playing experience, you played in higher divisions and stuff like that. But at this level, what is it like to go on the road that far, where you're staying in hotels, etc.?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and I would say the toughest thing about playing in a league like the UPSL, different than playing in Europe, even in leagues that are like, down the table, that are not professional, first, second, third, whatever it is. The difference is, look at those countries. Mm-hmm. How big are those countries?
Very small.
Right. So you talk about like us going all the way to Atlanta or Augusta, 6 hours, 8 hours. Some countries are only like 3 hours from side to side. So and going 6 to 8 hours in Europe, for example, you could be passing two countries, right?
True.
For us, we're going to Atlanta. So it's, you have to get there. You can spend a night, hopefully at a good hotel.
Not the Motel 6 or anything like that.
Well, just from experience, it's not always the best, but it's preparation then, right? So it's just how much do you love it? And the it's wear and tear too. I think that's part of it. So when you're not in a charter bus or commercial planes or everything like that, it's wear and tear on your body and on the mind. For me, it's worth it. Love it. It's the game. It's what you want to do, and you want to play with the guys. But it's it's not easy. It's not easy. We just always had a thing last year, and try to have it this year. Is like, let's go one more week.
Right.
Let's go one more. Let's take it 1 week at a time. It's always like, hey, can we get another week of training with the guys? Win the game on the weekend. Win it for your brothers. Let's get another week together, guys, and let's keep it going for as long as we can. So.
I don't think I've ever asked you this before in any context, but what was it like last year? Like, what was the schedule like from how did you leave Bowling Green to getting into Augusta? That's where y'all played Kalonji, right? Or
yes. No. Atlanta was Moros at the Silverbacks at the round of 32. But barn burner of a game, by the way.
I don't remember. I watched it, but I can't remember.
Barn burner of a game. I think we were up 1-0, and Oliver Gonzalez was just keeping us in the game throughout the first half. And then we went up 2-0, and then they came back 2-1. We went up 3-1. They came back 3-2. We went up 4-2, and then 4-3, and then the game ended. Thank God, because it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I was like, oh my God, jeepers creepers, let's get out of here. And
so, how did you all get to Atlanta and then to Augusta as far as like literal travel? Like, I mean, obviously, let's not
guys carpooling. Just
so there was
the group messages get carpooling, let's go.
So there's no meet in 4 or 5 of us. Grab a bus.
Yeah. That's what kind of what we do. No, like a bus. No bus. Unless which camera are we on here? Anyone? We'd love a charter sponsor. If you guys want to help us out there, we'd love to be taking the games. We'll have you guys' or our logo on your guys' stuff or whatever it is. Let's make it happen. Help us out here.
There you go. No, but a charter bus company.
No, even for some of our games right now, like
if we had to go to Memphis for something.
Pumas, for example, to Mayfield.
Where?
You see how I said Mayfield instead of Paducah for you?
Thank you. Somebody listens.
There you go. When we go to Pumas, a lot of guys, because they know I drive everywhere, they always hit me up, and I jump in the car with 3 or 4 guys, and we go out to Mayfield. So then, I mean, it's, we get there, unless you're going to Atlanta or Augusta, like we said, where we're spending a night there.
Right.
We'll get there enough to have a team dinner, have like a team meeting, sleep, wake up in the morning, go for a team run, have a team breakfast, and basically just use that day to prep.
So was it come down the day before the game or come down 2 days before?
The day before the game.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously after the game, head back?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Probably get something to eat and head back. Yeah. So all of that within 24, 48 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. So all of that being said, looking ahead to Beeman United, Georgia FC, what do you think will be the final score?
Oh, I think Beeman goes on a really deep run here. I think Beeman wins that game. Well, it's a one-off. Right. But I think Georgia's form ends.
You do?
I do. I think Beeman, I can only just speak of experience and the guys that I've seen. Beeman has ex-professionals. Beeman has experience. And when you get into playoffs, when you get into the highest quality of games, you need guys who have been there, done that. Beeman's got those.
Right.
They have those type of guys playing in the team. So I think it's going to be 2-0 to Beeman.
Okay.
To Beeman. I think it's going to be 1-0. I think Georgia might frustrate them here or there, but I think Beeman scores 1 in the first half. And then while Georgia's trying to get the equalizer late, let's say 8 minutes left, Beeman goes and gets the second one and closes it off.
So you think Beeman will have a better defensive game this time as opposed to against Indy where they let up?
I think so. I think they let up 2. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I wish I could tell you.
I don't know. For example, what I think potentially happened is the guy, because I think Iturbide probably, for those who haven't seen it, there was Iturbide, I think, probably posted to the league of one of Beeman's guys headbutting him Zidane style during the game. Wasn't caught, but the game paused for about 5 minutes, and I remember texting you and saying, what the heck's going on now? And the game was stopped for like 5 minutes. Nothing ended up happening.
Right.
Nobody was sent off. Nobody got a card, or maybe some yellow cards were thrown, if that, just for instigating.
Maybe. But I can't unequivocally say.
I'm guessing UPSL might have reviewed the guy who did it. And there was number 6, their captain.
Right.
And I'm guessing maybe he was suspended. And I wouldn't know. Like I said, I didn't see it. If I could have
seen even the numbers on
if Beeman's, I didn't check their Instagram, so I don't know if they posted a lineup. They're not that big on Instagram like us, so I don't know.
Shot fired, by the way.
No,
everybody heard
not
that.
at all. Listen, we'd rather be where they are right now.
Well, true.
But yeah, so I'm guessing they didn't have him, and maybe he'd be back for this next game. And if he's back for this next game, there's not too many guys who win a battle with him. I mean, Iturbide scored how many goals this season?
A lot.
Yeah. How many did they score against Beeman?
Not as many.
So
only 1 in their 2 matchups. So Michael, 2-0 for Beeman. I'm also going to take Beeman, but I'm going to take it a little bit different approach. I'm going to say 4-2.
Oh,
because
wow.
I do think that Georgia is on a hot one, and I think that they will get something. Honestly, I think if Beeman comes out a little flat like they did against Deportivo, I think Georgia might have a 1-0, maybe even 2-0 heading into half.
Beeman really up?
Yes.
On Beeman. And until they wake up at halftime?
Mm-hmm. Especially if that game is in Georgia. If it's in Silverback Stadium,
that makes a big difference.
They're good at travel, but that's a different ballgame.
And you never know with injuries. So did you see in the Beeman Iturbide game 2, their big 23, I think, their big center back, I think their South African guy.
Yep.
He came off with an injury.
A little limp there, yeah.
So you never know who picked one up in this game. This last game against Indy. Same thing for Georgia, though. So
yeah. So I'm still going to take Beeman 4-2. I'm going to set the over-under at 5. I would probably suggest if you are finding a way to bet on this, good luck. Take the under on that, but 4-2 is my score. And we will, and Michael over here taking it 2-0. We will be back next week with our next guest, and we will talk about how Beeman is doing, carrying the banner for the UPSL Kentucky-Tennessee Premier Division. But Michael, let's transition back now talking about BGFC, the team that you play for and that, all of this is centered around. Mm-hmm. I want you to take me back through the journey from your perspective all the way from tryouts to that last game against Iturbide. So when you're looking at the 2022 season, when did you all start planning for the spring season? When did start looking at that?
I mean, truly, I would say late fall.
Planning so like October?
Yeah, November-ish. Okay. Getting ready for stuff for the next season. And that's reaching out to guys. Just the coaches asking, like, hey, are you going to play or not? Are you going to come try out? Do you have anybody who's interested? And then us just reaching out to, buddies and trying to get guys out there.
Really using that grassroots approach to getting more.
Yeah. For the most part. So tryouts, I believe, January? I think we had it end of January or early February. It's one of those. It was cold.
Very cold.
I remember that. It was cold.
Yep.
And then we because we thought we were going to go into NISA Nations.
Yep, originally. Mm-hmm.
And then that fell through and we came back into the UPSL. But that was supposed to start at the end of February. Or very early March. That was supposed to start. So because we were supposed to have a preseason in February. And then we had an extended preseason because UPSL didn't start until late March.
Yeah.
So we went into that really excited with the roster. And then the roster kept getting better and better and better. And then I just kind of like how I know AJ have said before, and the coach Evan, otherwise, the talent that we had on the roster this year has probably been the best. It's been better than last year's.
Right.
The problem was just we never had everyone available at one time.
Couldn't find.
And the one time we did was our best display of the season, which was 4-2 against Iturbide.
Maybe arguably our best performance in franchise history.
I would say so.
Just
as from a pure footballing aspect, everybody was on tee that game. Right. I mean, from the top down. So
before we jump too far into the schedule, though, you had mentioned, we were going to play in NISA. Do you have any idea kind of what happened with that?
Yeah, just falling through. So everybody who was supposed to go over to the NISA Nations, and Desmond Armstrong, who was the commissioner of the Kentucky-Tennessee beforehand in the fall, there was just like a falling out, and guys didn't want to fall with him, just rightly or wrongly. Don't know. I'll stay neutral on this.
Yeah,
I'll stay Switzerland on this.
Right. Well, Poland, but sure.
But and then that fell through. So last minute, thankfully we were able to get back into UPSL and not have to forego a spring season altogether.
Right. That would have been catastrophic.
Yeah, that would have been, especially getting everybody who've put in the work. Like for me personally, all January, all February, I was outside in the freezing cold, running my butt off.
So you weren't doing what I was doing, which was sitting on my couch trying to find.
That's what I would have loved to have been doing. But yeah.
So you talked a little bit about tryouts and that early training and stuff like that. What were the early kind of feelings you had on the team? You mentioned you thought we had more talent. So before the preseason game against Metro Louisville, before anything, what would you have thought we would be looking at this point in the year?
Well, I didn't know the quality of how the quality of the division has really shaped out, because now you had teams with Beeman coming in and Iturbide coming in, and Deportivo, yeah. And I want to say we had a little bit to do with the revolutionizing our division.
Was Midwest, were they also new this year?
They were new this year.
Yeah, so that's 4 new teams.
Yeah, I want to say we had a little part to play in revolutionizing the division and bringing in really strong quality teams. Right. Now we're going to have Metro Louisville coming into our division. So now you're looking at it, and now you're looking at, well, dang, like how many spots make the conference playoffs?
5.
Well, I'm just saying, like you're looking at it that way, like, who's going to get in there? And it's going to be tough because you have to deal with, Iturbide, Beeman, Metro Louisville, Deportivo.
Right. Yep.
And I'll just be nice and say, I'll be respectful because they beat us, Midwest Hooligans or Pumas, right? And then you're looking at us.
Hooligans is the team that I really wish we could have seen more. I know I've talked about them a lot, but that just seems like a town and like a team that could really give us some issues. Now, I know they're going to be recruiting against, Indianapolis teams and, other things like that. But that to me seems like a team that we really need to be cautious of because of the metro area that they're in.
I'd be more worried about Louisville.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that is a bigger city.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, no, I'd be more worried about Louisville than them. But like, bottom line, I mean, whatever roster we have, you got to go and perform at the end of the day. So regardless, I mean, like I said, like we're really always thankful because in our spring seasons, at least, we have a lot of collegiate guys and their coaches and their players trust our program here, and they come play for us. We have lots of guys from, Center, Belmont, or otherwise, that come here. Yeah, Transy, who come otherwise to come play for us, and they help us out a lot, tremendously. See, the issue is when it gets to a fall.
Right.
Is we lose those guys, right? Mm-hmm. But guess what happens with Itabride and Beeman? They have grown 27, 28-year-old men. They do not lose their guys.
Yeah. Nope, those are grown men.
Where we take a little bit of a hit and have to rebuild and, retool, they'll have their same team with the exception of maybe just a few guys. So
it's going to be more of a situation of making sure that our guys get opportunities to get on the field, work together, as opposed to like trying to influx a large amount of talent like we had this year. So,
well, you'll see. This is just from one captain to the other. This is more. You'll see that talent as we get through a few more years here. Meaning, so we have a really, really talented 2005 age group coming through. We have a really talented 2006 age group and a really good 2007 age group coming through. So you have players on all those teams who are loaded with talent. Now, can they come through our program now where we'd have those kids before?
Right.
Fade out. They would fade out. Mm-hmm. Whereas now we have the opportunity where we'll give, we have the opportunity to give players a opportunity to play, have a chance to play here at a higher level. Someone like, for example, I know with the 05's Daniel. Daniel trained with us all last season. It's going to be his time to. He played in the Metro Louisville preseason game. Did pretty well, and he's done well in training. He's an extremely talented individual.
But he's also 16 years old.
He's also 16 years old, and it's tough. Like ideally, look at the professional game right now.
Right.
Okay. Like he's a center back. His body's for a center back. His abilities is that of a center back. Okay. He could play in other positions, but for a long-term type of game, he's a center back. Mm-hmm. Look at the pro game. How many center backs do you know come in other than recently Matthias de Ligt? How many center backs really break out on the scene at the age of 19 years old, 20 years old?
I can't name very many professionals who are like center backs that are of
go
talent.
To any MLS roster.
Right.
You go to majority of European rosters. You look at their two starting center backs and their average age. For the most part, the center back really starts their career at 23.
Yeah.
Truly getting game time for the most part.
How old is Walker Zimmerman down in Nashville?
Walker's like 28, 29 now.
Okay, he's been on the scene for what, 2-3 years at this point? So.
I mean, he's one of those who's probably a rare exception where he played when he was like, but again, like 22, I would say. I would have to look at it, but he probably started out at like 22. So,
and, you look at, DeAndre Edlin down in Miami. Well, he's more of a winger.
He's a fullback.
Yeah, fullback. Yeah. Still learning my soccer positions.
Okay.
Fullback means something
totally
different.
I'm here to help you. Yeah, I know.
So you kind of look at your first 3 matches of the season. 3-1 win over Nashville Knights. That was cake. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It was just a gelling game, just first game. So
Beeman, we've talked at ad nauseum at this point. 7-2 loss. Move on. 4-1 over Deportivo. And that put us leading into that month-long break. And we talked to Coach Evan about it. And he talked about some of the things that he tried to do with you all. But as a player, what was that break like? What was it like influencing or the influx of new players? What was the chemistry like? All of that.
I mean, it was. I think you got to take it for its positives and negatives. Positives being we get to reinforce the squad. Right. So during that period, we had a lot of guys come in, a lot of our college guys come in. But the negative is like you as a player, what you really want to do is play. So you go a month without playing. Right. So it kind of sucks. So now it's you can't really find your soccer fitness basically. Right. You can run, you can do all that stuff, but it's not the same as being on the field, touching the ball, being in a game. It's 2 different types of fitness going on. You can't really replicate that. I mean, you can scrimmage in practice and everything like that, but
it's still not the same though.
And there's competitive. AJ was right. It was competitive throughout the season in training and stuff like that. But when it comes to a game, you're not holding back.
Nope.
On the field.
Nope.
You're not holding back. So, and that takes another 5-10% from you. So when you're not holding back, you can get injured or you could put in a hard challenge and you're working that much more. So you get tired a lot easier. So you're in practice going like, I just went through a hour and a half, 2-hour practice, no problem. And then you go like,
the first 45 in your
first 45, I'm like, I'm drained. What just happened?
Right. Which, I mean, and you started all of our games?
I think so.
Yeah. So that was, you really have that perspective of saying, like, those first 45, they'll gas you.
Well, because the goal of the group when we start on the game is when we get to halftime, the game should be over.
Right.
We're trying to end the game in the first half.
Right.
That's always been the motto that's been sent out by the coaching staff and then brought down to, myself or the other leaders on the team to take out to the team before the game. Let's end the game in the first half.
Well, we definitely did that against Coptic. Final of that 18-0.
Yeah.
Then we went up to Evansville, second road game of the season, second road loss of the season. What happened, from your perspective in that game? Was it lack of preparedness? Was, coach not getting you all ready enough? Was it players not taking it seriously enough? Or was it bad Chinese food?
I think it's just one of those. I really do think it's one of those one-offs. I will say maybe guys weren't taking it seriously enough. I mean,
seems that way.
I go into every game thinking like I never want to lose any game.
Right.
Like you go to end the game, no question. Were guys potentially maybe because I think people were saying it before the game, like, let's get ready for Iturbide, let's get ready for Iturbide. Yep. They were overlooking it.
Right.
Overlooking the game against Midwest. And I think the more people are saying, guys, let's not overlook it, it started to creep into minds that way. And it just was one of those games where we just didn't put on a good enough performance. I think that was the one and only game other than the Kalanji game. We're in 2 years, I want to say 24 games total that we've played as a club. That was one of 2 games where we did not score a goal in.
Yeah. I
would know because I keep stats. So
yeah, well, you do keep stats for the team, but I'm trying to think back, even for me, like,
it's the only game this year.
Yeah, but the performance wasn't there. The attack wasn't there. There were so many balls that would be crossed from one player to another, and it would just
their goalkeeper would hold on to the ball for about 15 minutes of the 90.
Well, that happened a little bit. But those passes weren't getting received. Like, if you think about it in American football, a wide receiver has to catch the ball. Just as much as the quarterback can throw a great strike, it's on the receiver to catch the ball. In soccer, it was the same thing, and I noticed it so much that night that there were not players putting their hands out to catch. Obviously, you can't catch, but you get what I'm saying. It's a metaphor.
We just weren't clean. I mean, we weren't clean around the pitch. I mean, truly. It's just silly mistakes. We weren't clean, and then complete 180.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
2 days later.
Yeah, 2 days later, 4-2 over Iturbide, a highlight of our year. One of the highlights, I think, of the entire UPSL, being at that point we were sitting at, I think, 6th place in the table. They were up at 2.
We were like, I think we had some games behind everybody.
Oh, yeah, we were a month behind.
We were catching, we were a month behind, but
that was a fantastic.
We were 2-2, right? At that point we were 500.
Yeah. Could have gone either way.
Hated it.
Yeah,
could have gone either way. We could have got under 500 for the club as the first time.
Oof, let's not do that ever again. Then on the road, at home for E-Town Ignite 4-1. Deportivo 5-5 tie. What happened?
Did you see the pitch?
So
they have to play on it too. To
talk
be fair,
to me about that.
No,
was it too small? Too wide?
It was not even regulation.
Okay.
You talk about
a violation of standards.
Well, you talk about like passing the ball, right? Well, when I'm trying to hit a pass even from me to you 5 yards, and there's just a divot right there, like the size of like Mount Rushmore, I mean, look at how we scored like our goals per se, other than what 1, maybe 2. Jansen scores a free kick.
Yep.
Anthony scores 2 free kick?
Yep. 2.
No, we got 3. We scored off of 3 set pieces. The first one was an indirect free kick. Anthony hit the bar. Jansen hit a volley.
Yep.
Then it was Anthony scored off a free kick himself. Then we had Ben playing Eldon through. No, that was Ben scored first, I think, from a header.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eldon from Ben or vice versa, either way. And then Jansen scored in the dying minutes of the game to get us a result.
Yeah, and that was a hell of a performance.
So the goals were not of. I mean, if you look at the 10 goals of the game, how many of them were actually like truly like you look like, oh, like that's a quality goal?
Maybe 3 total. 3 out of the 10.
I would be hard to say one. I mean, like truly, because like how many of those was just a long ball over the top, and the one guy just either outruns somebody, or I can't speak too much because I could have won a damn header that game. So
we'll have to bleep that out, by the way. But moving on from that, 2-0 over E-Town, the narrow 3-2 victory in Mayfield versus Pumas.
What a game.
That was such a tough turnaround for us as a club. As a player, getting the message that, hey, you've got a game in 24-ish hours, maybe 27. What was that like?
Less than that. I was the one having to call everybody out, and I just literally just copied, paste, so like the entire team see who'd answered even in the first place. Well, let me see if I can get off work. I'm like, oh, God, okay. Like,
right.
All right, well, go to the next guy. Yeah, I think I can. I was like, okay, great, fantastic. Can you? No, I can't. I've got work tomorrow. Oh, gosh.
Oh, no.
So I was like, are we going to have enough to play? I wasn't even going to go.
Right.
I was not going to even go.
A scratch.
Oh, yeah, I was supposed to be.
How you didn't?
I had to.
You had to.
I had to beg the wife, basically.
Kiss some babies.
Yeah, I had to basically, get nice flowers, buy dinner, and be just like, hey, like, I love you. The lads need me tomorrow night.
When you approached her about it, did she know what was happening?
At this point, she know what she's got herself into with me. Okay. So, I mean, soccer's always the other baby in the house. So,
for now,
yeah, for now.
Yeah. But from there, playoff, Iturbide, 5-1, end of our season. Talk to me about what was that feeling like in the locker room. Well, they didn't have a locker room, but on the field after the match, what was it like?
It just sucked because, it's 5-1.
Yep.
Right? You lose.
Yep.
Do I think it was 5-1? No. Do I think we deserve to lose the game? Yeah, because we didn't play well enough.
Well, and we didn't have some of our talent either. We were down, 3, 4, 5 players?
I mean, you had, I'm just, for an example, I mean, you have myself and Ben, who we're not center backs growing up. We haven't really played center back hardly at all. And we're having to be like, hey, like, next man up, let's do it for the team, step up and try to do what we can.
But you mentioned Ben playing center back. It's really funny if you go back and listen to that podcast that I did with him. He talked about going to play center back now in his elder age at 26 years old. I hate you all.
Ben's your striker, your winger, your center midfielder, your fullback.
That's his style. He's not maybe a little slower.
I'll play wherever you need me, coach.
Right. Oh wow. Anyways,
no, but yeah, it was just, again, it's one of those games where we didn't show up.
Right.
We didn't show up. I don't think it helped that we didn't really have a true game to prepare for before that. So we didn't really have ourselves like a springboard to use to get ready for the game against Iturbide.
Right. You just dive straight in.
Pumas. And then take a half squad to Pumas, really.
Right.
Just to play the game. And then you go straight into Iturbide. And it's like, what happened to our team?
Right.
Our team, we had at practice one time, I remember we had 41 guys at practice one time.
At final practice, how many did you have?
16, 17.
Dang!
Yeah.
That's a hell of a fall off there.
Yeah.
Well, so we're in the off season now, Michael. I know you being the director of coaching for the youth academy, you've got that coming up. Talk to me about what's that been like. What is it? What is your role within the youth academy and stuff like that?
No, it's awesome. I can't wait. I think this is a fantastic opportunity for the community to have here. Something for these boys and soon to be as Benties the girls in the future.
Yep.
Have something
Ben
to
did
look
tease that in the news story.
something to look forward to here to play on. And it's just an opportunity for us truly to provide an opportunity for these kids to be able to play at a high level. Not necessarily saying we are that high level as of yet. Right. Not to say we are like, oh, you're coming in, you're playing pro. No, but you're using this opportunity and people know, people talk, people see it. We have a higher platform that we offer. So if it's someone like Daniel, for example, 16, 17 years old, you see it and he's playing against other grown men in the UPSL. And then you play a national playoff and he has a part that he's playing in the team. 16, 17-year-old playing with grown men shows his talent. Guess what that shows to professional organizations within here? Who is this kid? If not even at least colleges going like, who is this guy? Like, let's go. And that just helps get eyes and eyes and eyes and more eyes on this. And guess what? Every game's recorded. So automatically you have eyes. Coach, well, for the most part, especially our games are, right? So it's like, hey, do you have any game film, son? Yeah. Here, go watch your stream.
Watch. Here's a link to the stream. This is a professional organization, all that.
And we did it, before, Evan and myself with kids, when we worked at our previous organization where we got them through the doors and got them into better opportunities. Louisville City, Nashville SC, FCC. I mean, that was when we, FC Cincinnati.
Oh, okay. I was like FCC, like
that 03, 04 age group,
Council.
And then we had some of those 06s go as well. So then we had 05 of mine go to Louisville City.
Legit. So
we had all in all we had like 8 guys at that point like leave to go to professional academies.
And Coach Evan talked about that as well. Like being that bridge and helping people get to the next level. So what is your ultimate goal with the Youth Academy this year? Just for this year? Yep, just this year.
I mean, truly our goal just within the Youth Academy in general, it changes now completely to any other youth club around here. Now that we have a full top to bottom structure, my goal, the goal of the whole club is how do we take a player in from 7, 8, 9 years old and get them into the first team? Whether they're ready at 16 years of age, when they're ready at 18 years of age, hell, if, 24 years of age, whenever they're ready. Because you have, Jimmie, I couldn't tell you how much talent there's been that's gone through Bowling Green who either leaves or comes back. And they're in that age range of after college, for example, 22 to 25.
Even
guys my age, they're not playing
here. Men don't have the opportunity.
No, I mean, look at because of Western, we have essentially have to fill that role of a men's program that Western Kentucky doesn't have. Those who go to Sky, those who go to Sky TC, for example, this is you can go there and you can play for the Lions. So we essentially fill that hole, and that's what the goal is. You bring your son or then daughter into the program. How can we get you into the first team? And then how can we use that opportunity of you getting into the first team to then get you another opportunity someplace else?
So, Youth Academy, I think it's a great start. We're going to have how many teams this fall?
4, 5.
For those listening on the radio, Michael is counting.
Sorry, yeah. So eight teams. We're looking to make it 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the start of the season.
Yeah, by the start of the season.
When is that? And I know very little to nothing about youth soccer. What is the starting fall season?
So our younger kids pre-high school. So the kids who are in high school, we don't touch.
Because
we don't touch them. They're in the high school seasons. Yeah, we don't see them unless we feel somebody's ready to play into the senior team. And then we're going to ask them to come play into the senior team instead of their high schools. Excuse me.
You're good.
But we have those who are pre-high school ages who start in August. They train twice a week, and then a third day with our skills director. Shout out Sensei Ray. skills development director.
Right.
That's what it is, or skills director.
I like Sensei better, though.
Oh, well, that's his nickname around town. With AJ, and then we start up with the high school kids. They'll go until August. Those young kids, or they'll go August, September, October, start ending around October, November, and around that time when our older kids start finishing with high school, they return last week of October, early November, and they'll have their fall season. Some of our teams are looking, they've applied for National League Pro, our 05s and 06s. So that's where you play against the other top 63 clubs in the country, non-MLS. Yeah. We had our 06s in it last year. Yeah. So.
But you said non-MLS. So
non-MLS.
We're not going to be playing Romeo Beckham or anything like that. Okay. That was a hell of a highlight, though.
Yeah.
It was a
good goal.
Great strike. So, other than that, this fall, we do have a small announcement. Michael, I will let you make the big announcement for what's happening this fall.
Oh, our community night, is that what
Well, we are going to have a community night. But we'll talk about that in a second. That's not the big
us
thing.
Deciding that we're going to have a fall season.
That's right. Your BGFC Golden Lions are coming back for a fall season.
That's right.
So we're going to be in the UPSL again, as well as we do have some other ambitions. And I'll leave it at that for now, because I don't want to set the bar too high. But
you don't want me to spoil it right now?
Nope, not yet. Okay. So we're going to have the youth academy. We're going to have a first team going at the same time.
Correct.
Do you think we're going to have any struggles with that?
No.
Great answer.
I mean, absolutely not. No, we already dealt with it before in the past that way, essentially. If anything, it's going to help us now because we have some of our Pro Lions guys helping in the coaching staff. Right. You have, myself, but you have AJ's not anymore, but now you have Peyton, who joined us on staff. Mm-hmm. You have Chaz, who's joined us on staff. And then we're still looking all the time just to have some other guys who are interested to help us out here or there. So
right. So if somebody was to be interested in either, playing for the pro team, coaching for the youth academy, playing for the youth academy,
a little bit of both.
What's the best way to get in contact?
They can reach out to myself or Coach Evan. We should have you can go on our website at bgfcgoldenlions.org. You can go on the contact us. Sorry, so I was trying to think about that. It was a lot of letters. You go on the About Us and contact us, and our information is there. Or you can email me at bgfcgoldenlions@gmail.com.
And with that, we will kind of talk about a couple of announcements before we close up for today. If you are interested in joining the senior team for the fall season, we will have tryouts on July 30th at 10 a.m. at Preston Miller Park. Check-in will start at 9:15 that morning, and tryouts will start promptly at 10. So July 30th, if you're interested in joining the professional team that we have. We're also having, as Michael was hinting at, a BGFC community night. It'll be a free night for 4v4, 3v3, 5v5.
Hosted by our Jansen Wilson.
Yep, Jansen Wilson.
Our maestro.
Yes, Jansen Wilson, who, Michael talked about earlier, scored a bunch of really good goals. We'll be hosting that BGFC community night July 23rd. Starting at 9 a.m. Jansen, why did we call it Community Day as opposed to Community Night? It's during the daytime. So we're going to change that. It'll be Community Day, not Community Night. He's in college. He's still young.
They're learning every day.
Yeah,
right?
Time of day. What is that? It's all relative. He's sitting in the room with us. That'll be at Lampkin Park. Stick to the BGFC Instagram and other social media platforms for more details on that. And with that, we will officially start to close up. Again, we're still looking for a full-time sponsor of the podcast, as well as businesses. If you want to sponsor a certain segment, if you want to sponsor our announcements, you want to sponsor the off the top, if you want to sponsor the hard-hitting questions that I ask, please feel free to reach out. As a reminder, we'll be back next week to review the national tournament, seeing if Beeman, if they can continue their run. But we'll also be checking in with other BGFC players as kind of seeing how their college seasons are going and kind of previewing, college soccer. It's a new topic for us on the podcast. So we'll be talking about that. So make sure you come back next week. Make sure that you like, comment, rate, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get it. Leave us your score for the Beeman game down in the comment section below, as well as anything else that you want us to cover on BGFC Weekly. And with that, this is Jimmie signing off.